Hey friends, and welcome back to our channel. I just want to say I'm in a t-shirt today, which I usually don't wear a t-shirt while I'm working.
She's copying me.
But I was feeling froggy today, and that is the question of the day. Leave in the comments if you ever say that, because that's Sloan's thing. He likes to say he's feeling froggy when he's doing something a little,
And Kim acts like I'm an old man for saying that. I'm like, it's a normal thing. Feeling froggy is a normal term.
I'm like, what does that mean? Does that mean you're feeling like jumpy or like what? I don't, But just leave us in the comments if that's a term you say.
Come on, guys. Back me up here.
Do you want to know whether or not you should move to Salt Lake City, Utah? Is it a good place to live, work, and play? Even if it is it the right place for you?
If you've considered moving to Salt Lake City, Utah, and you want to know more about living here, then stay tuned because we're going to give you the 10 facts that you need to know before making your move here to Salt Lake City, Utah.
If this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything about living, eating, sleeping, working, and playing in Northern Utah, then subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Northern Utah.
We are Sloan and Kim Peterson with the Peterson Group. We've been in the real estate business for 10 years, and every day we help people just like you looking to buy and sell in Northern Utah, and we absolutely love it. Whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. All the information is in the description below, so we can help you make that smooth move over here to cities like Salt Lake and Northern Utah.
Okay, so fact number one, if you're thinking of making the move here to Salt Lake City, Utah, is cost of living. Salt Lake City is not a cheap place to live, and the cost of living is higher than all other cities in Utah, hands down. But the cost of living and affordability is relative. For a lot of our friends moving here from out of state, Salt Lake is actually more affordable in comparison to where they're coming from. But speaking strictly in terms of local affordability, Salt Lake City is going to be the most expensive city Utah has to offer, as most big cities are in most other states.
All right, and that brings us to fact number 2, which is the weather. While Salt Lake City has a beautiful climate for many months of the year, it can also be very cold and snowing during the wintertime, which may not be suitable for everyone. We've talked a lot about this in some of our other videos, but Utah is cold and snowy, and Salt Lake City is no exception to that. I would even argue that since it's a big city, it can get fairly ugly in the wintertime when the snow gets dirty and everything is dark and gray. It's not always that beautiful, picturesque scene that you see when you think about like Utah or like the mountains. Sometimes it does get a little bit nasty once it's been sitting for a little while. So just something to keep in mind if you might be moving from a warmer climate where you don't experience that.
For sure. Okay, so number 3 is traffic. The city has been experiencing significant growth in recent years, leading to more traffic congestion and longer commute times. Again, we mentioned this in other videos, but between all the construction constantly happening to accommodate Salt Lake's growth, as well as just downtown busyness in general, traffic gets majorly congested in the city. So if you do work downtown or have to drive into Salt Lake for work like we used to do, then that's just something to be aware of if you're looking to make the move to Salt Lake City.
All right, number 4 is the air quality. So Salt Lake has a history of poor air quality due to the surrounding mountains, which can cause health problems for some people. Again, that's something that we've mentioned in some of our other videos, but the air quality, especially in the wintertime, is really bad from all of our inversions. Between the heavy traffic and the car exhaust, all the refineries, the fires, and the fact that the city is in a bowl surrounded by mountains, all that smog and pollution just kind of gets stuck until we get a storm that kind of blows all that gunk out. That's where the snow really is a plus for us in Utah. But again, if you are looking to move to Salt Lake, just something to consider if your family might have health issues like asthma or chronic bronchitis, because this will kind of aggravate that a little bit.
Absolutely. Okay, so number 5 is limited diversity. Salt Lake City is not as diverse as many other major cities in the United States with its same people per capita, which may be a concern for those looking for a more diverse community. However, that being said, the face of the city has changed a lot, especially since we lived there, and it is more diverse than ever. In fact, according to visitsaltlake.com, 20% of Salt Lake's population is Hispanic, 25% are Native American, and there's pockets of Asian and Pacific Islander communities in the area. We also have one of the biggest LGBTQ plus populations in the US. So it's definitely changing, but like all changes, it takes a little bit of time. Just something to keep in mind.
And number 6, and along those same lines, is limited nightlife. So Salt Lake City has a relatively quiet nightlife scene compared to other cities, which may not be ideal for those looking for a more active nightlife. While we do have bars, nightclubs, and concert venues, a lot of those things do close earlier than in comparison to other big cities. We are definitely a city that does sleep, usually around 1 a.m. when the alcohol stops being served, and most restaurants has closed a couple of hours prior.
Yeah, definitely. If you're looking for like that partying 24 hours nightlife that you might find somewhere like New York or LA, it's definitely not Salt Lake, even though we have a pretty good nightlife to speak of. Okay, so number 7 is conservative culture. Salt Lake City is located in a predominantly conservative state, which may not align with values of some individuals. For some, that's a pro. For some, that's a con. Either way, it's just something to consider and know when looking to make the move here to Salt Lake.
Right, number 8 is limited public transportation. So while the city has a public transportation system, it may not be as robust as some other major cities in the United States. We do talk a little bit more about this in our Salt Lake City pros and cons video, which you can check out right here. But the public transportation definitely needs some work. It's part of the reason why we experience so many traffic and smog issues. You almost have to have a car if you are going to commute in the city, even if it's just from one end to the other, much less from a different city. When we commuted, we did take public transportation, and it took us almost 2 hours to get where we needed to go, when the drive time is just an hour. So unless you can commit to adding some major time to your commute, which really is going to be probably double, which no one really wants to do unless they have to, it's something that you are going to want to consider if you're planning to move to Salt Lake without a car.
Okay, number 9 on the list is crime rates. Again, as in any big city, you are going to find some crime. But according to Dwellix.com, Salt Lake scores at a 51 out of a possible 100 on crime, with vandalism being high in comparison to cities of its same size.
That's kind of interesting, I think, because for a lot of the cities that we look at, vandalism does seem to be one of the highest crimes in Utah. I guess we like to wreck stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that's nothing too scary, but something to keep in mind if you are looking to move to Salt Lake. Lock your cars, lock your doors, just the basic safety rules.
And last but not least is our altitude. So Salt Lake City is located at a high altitude, which may cause altitude sickness for some individuals who are not used to living at higher elevations. We mentioned this in a previous video, and it's kind of a silly one because for most people, it does pass within a few days. But for some, it can take a lot longer than that. If you're moving from somewhere that doesn't have the altitude that Salt Lake does, just suspect your system could be in shock just for a little while, at least for a few days or so.
Yeah, and typically it does go away in a few days. There are the unfortunate, unlucky ones that it can last a couple months, but it's usually not permanent, and it's something that will pass.
Yeah, most people is very quick, so. All right, guys, so that wraps up the facts to know if you're looking to move to Salt Lake City, Utah. We hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please leave us a comment or a like. That does help us move our channel forward, and we would love to hear from you guys. Picking where you'll call home is an important decision, and we would love to help you make that smooth transition to cities like Salt Lake City, Utah, and the surrounding areas.
If you're looking to purchase in the northern Utah area, we would love to help you out. Give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, and until next time, as always, we are keeping it real. Estate.